Act this Sunday could break open the doors of opportunity and allow more disabled people to get jobs. It's the Americans with Disabilities Act, and it bars employers with over 25 employees from discriminating against qualified people with disabilities. It further states that an employer may have to restructure some jobs so that disabled people can do them, and modify workplaces and equipment so that the disabled can perform more tasks. The activists who fought for this civil rights bill say it's important for many reasons, including self-esteem, but most important is the ability to have financial independence. Reed Galen looks at the personal side of the issue, how two people with disabilities feel about the new law and their own place in the working world.
What do you suppose is the largest minority group in this country? People with disabilities, 43 million Americans. Like other groups, the American Disabilities Act now gives them rights against discrimination. But unlike other minorities, they do not all share a common tie, and this law says employers must accommodate people with disabilities individually. Here are two such people, impressive, accomplished men both. But while one has done well in the corporate world, the other is still looking for work. Neil Jacobson has cerebral palsy. His disabilities are immediately obvious. His abilities are not. And there is no question which people see when he first rolls into a business meeting.
It's obvious. Everybody kills me. And what I do is I don't worry about that. I thought talking about business. After a while, we are talking about business. Then my disability becomes secondary.
Neil is a vice president at Wells Fargo Bank.
Hello, Mr. Jacobson.
If that surprises you, that is exactly the kind of barrier people with disabilities face. It is rarely an overt prejudice, but discrimination is often subtle.
Yes, we're all prejudices. Yes, we're all preconceived notions. But it's up to me as an individual to get over that.
He sounds like any well-bodied, successful executive.
That makes a big difference. A person who's been out looking, who hasn't been placed into the job market, has a lot more fears and worries about whether they're going to be able to fit in or whether they'll overcome that hump.
Jonathan Freed had a motorcycle accident 7 years ago. It paralyzed him from the waist down. At the Center for Independent Living, he attends a job search seminar. Here, too, the emphasis is more on attitude than legal rights.
Even though a lot of people are going to discriminate and not give you as much of a chance, if you let that into your mind, it's going to affect the way that you are perceived by employers. So
attitude certainly does not seem to be holding Jonathan back.
I found that I've needed to initiate the process by saying, hey, I'm perfectly qualified, have all the experience and things, and this is how my disability works. On the other hand, I've run into situations where they won't give me a job because a lot of people are put off by or don't know how to quite handle a person who's disabled.
Skills don't seem to be holding him back either. Jonathan is good with computers, has been since he was a teenager. He programmed the computer at the Independent Living Center. But he hasn't found permanent work.
Job available in bookkeeping.
He will not blame it on others, but there are real practical obstacles.
2 buses go by that say, sorry, we can't pick you up. Our ramp won't allow, doesn't operate. So those kind of barriers and difficulties make it difficult to be even punctual and on time for a job.
Another problem is that Jonathan needs home care 2 afternoons a week and has not found an employer with that kind of flexibility. The ADA requires employers to make reasonable accommodations to workers with disabilities, but neither Jonathan or Neil has any illusion about who is going to have to educate employers about what is reasonable.
When you are disabled, you have to be creative. Psychologically and emotionally and physically. You gotta be able to recommend how you could become more productive.
Whatever anyone needs to succeed, there's no doubt they need more of it if they have a disability. The new law doesn't change that either.
Part of but part of it is as I feel I had to succeed. Nothing is going to stand in the way.
Both these men feel the American Disabilities Act is a very big step in eliminating physical barriers in the workplace and will encourage employers to do what managers should do anyway with all workers, find ways to make people productive. But no attitude is ever changed by law alone, and Neil Jacobson, for one, hopes for the day when instead of saying disabled people can go to work, we say they must. I'm Reed Galen.
According to the Census Bureau,
Tonight, disabled Americans fight